Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to How Do I Love Thee? Let me count the days. So, we are going to be making a cute, in my opinion, cute, I'm biased, yeah, a tag. And we're going to be using Kiara, Julie Nutting Doll. I have a few things already laid out, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp her out and come back. I want to make 3 tags, so I'm going to stamp her 3 times on this 65-pound weight paper. Normally I would use 110, but since we're going to be doing some cutting and layering, this will be fine. The weight of this paper will be fine. All right, so I have went ahead and used this basic gray paper pad and just stamped her clothes out twice. We'll do one full body coloring, and then we will, fussy cut. My apparently is my new thing, right? And we will just color her up. Something was going on with me in this stamping situation, so I don't know what was going on with me, but that's what happened. And I put the colors aside that I want to color her, and then I put them back together. I'm using Spectrum Noir illustrators, and I would presume these are probably the older ones versus if they have a newer line out. I got these from Tuesday morning a while back. So I'm just going to color one with you. I don't proclaim to be like a colorist, so I don't do like shading. I haven't like gotten into shading and hues in certain spots. I just kind of color, and if it looks good to me, then I'm happy with it. But I do recommend it if you are getting into coloring and things like that. You do some research and see. But for what I do, I just like to color. It just relaxes me. It's very, in my opinion, very relaxing. And thusly, I just color it the way I want to color it and just not worry about the rest. So by now, if you are into stamps, by the time you see this video, you will know that Julie Nutting has announced her retirement from, or her departure, I should say, from Prima. She said after 10 years, she will be her last collection. It's her last collection. And it's kind of sad that that will be happening because I call them craft poachers. Everyone's going to go buy up everything and then go and sell them for a higher amount. It's one thing to destash your collection or even sell your collection, because I've bought some Julie Nutting stamps from people at decent prices, and then I bought some from people that was like, oh wow, really? Is that what we're doing today? But now a lot of the stamps that you can't find are going up on the selling spots for really crazy amounts of money. I'm trying to be very careful with coloring her because I'm trying to figure out if she's going to be the person that we color in all the way, or if it's going to be one of these ladies. And I think she'll probably be it because I'm going to fussy cut. Well, I'm going to cut them out of this paper. I'm not sure if you really want to see me do that, but yeah, that's what we're going to do. Alright, so I want to discuss something with you really quickly. If you can notice that these two ladies have similar hair colors, this one is a little bit darker and this one is a little bit lighter. So for this one, I used 3 colors to get that hair color. I started off with, is it earth brown? No. I started off with pecan, and then I used storm gray, which is from Arteza, and then I went back in with red brown, and it created this color. So what I wanted to be able to do is just pull out. I wanted to make it darker, but I didn't want the skin tone and the hair to matte, like be the same color. So I just went in and basically colored with the lighter one, then I did the gray, and then I was like, okay, it doesn't look like the color I want it to be. So I went back in and I used this color because this is the color I want it to be a little bit darker, and it's still not dark enough. I like this one in its pure tone, but now we're gonna try this. Oh wait, that was red brown. We're gonna use earth brown on her. And I'm not sure if I said her name. It's Kiara. We're using Kiara. At least that's how I pronounce it. It's Chiara, and CHI makes the key sound for me, or the chi, right, or chai. But key is what I'm calling her, Kiara. Kiki, right? Anyway, so yeah, I normally go, I don't know, a lot of people probably don't do this, but I go around the ink. I guess I set my boundaries in that way so I don't go outside the line. And even if I go outside the line, I mean, it's okay. We have ways to fix that. You can do some color blending or color erasing, but I just try to be very careful. And then if I'm fussy cutting, if I go too far out, I just cut it off. And then I just come back in and I just make small circles. Or if you do strokes, that's fine too. And even though it has a brush tip, I feel like I have more control with the bullet nib. Unless it's a larger surface, then I just go kind of crazy with it. So this is a more browner color, more browny, earth brown. And so what I'll do is I'll still pick another color. Doesn't matter if it's light or dark for me in this instance, because what I'm going to do is come back in with the earth brown. So I wouldn't consider it to be a blending technique, but it's just a technique for me to make it a little bit darker if I want it to be darker. And with alcohol markers, you can always make your images darker by continuously going over and over and over and over on that image. The thing I always concern myself is that I don't use alcohol marker paper or marker paper. I'm using regular cardstock in most cases. The heaviest I've ever used is 110. And I have some marker paper, probably not the best grade of marker paper. And the paper doesn't feel smooth to me. It feels like it's grabbing the ink. You know, it's like sucking in the ink. So I tend to just use the regular paper. So now I'm going to use pecan. I was going to use sand, but I'm going to use pecan. And, you know, sometimes if you're coloring, you miss those little spots. Whenever you do go over it with another color, it's going to show that image. So, I mean, that color. So right here, it's a little bit a color that I missed. And as you can see, it's changing the color already, which is good. You know, my interpretation of what pecan looks like is not, it's not this color. It's a little bit darker, so that's fine. And you can see how the colors kind of make it look like she's been in the sun too long right here in this particular spot, which is, I like it. I like that the colors blend together, give the hair different characteristics that I never really intended on them having, and that's a-okay with me. I do like hair that looks different, especially if I'm going for a different effect. If I wanted to just make a black hair, I would probably just do a gray and then another gray and then that gray again. Because I think sometimes black is just, for markers, maybe too much. Like this is lava gray, and I felt like this was too much too. So like I would use this lava gray and maybe a lighter gray, and then go back over it with those colors. So now we're just going to go over it one more time. So when I said it wasn't blending, like I'm not trying to get a blend. I'm just going over to give it that texture that I'm looking for, that color texture. So yes, it would be considered blending if you're taking more than one color and going over it again, and then coming back with the original color to get all the colors blended in, but that's not the goal, I guess you could say. But you can tell it looks totally different from this side to that side, which I'm totally happy with. I'm okay with. And these do not look the same, even though they're similar, which is very cool. I'm going back in with the earth brown. Although I really like that color, so we could have just kept it that way, but nah. And you know how those lines that I went in and traced, you can't even see them anymore? That's the whole purpose of doing it that way. If you do decide to keep your lines highlighted, I would probably say you can go in with a color that's a little bit lighter than the color that you laid down to give it that effect that you're looking for if you want to show the highlights, you know, the lines in your artwork. But I am not, you know, as I stated, I'm not a colorist. I like to color for fun. I'm more of a color hobbyist, so I wouldn't be really good at giving advice on technique. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and color her up, and I'm using Lilac from Arteza A884. I'm not sure if I don't know my colors very well, or if the markers are off. Not in the colors because, you know, it's still purple, but I always consider lilac to be a little bit more softer than what it is. So, I mean, it's probably just me and my eyes as they age. I don't know. So we're going to go ahead and give her a little sassy belt. And we're going to color up this fringe. You know, fringe overseas means bangs, and in the States, you know, we just call them bangs. Well, somebody may call them fringe, but I consider like all these little ruffles to be fringe, and I guess that's what bangs are, right? Like little ruffles on your front. Wording is hard lately, it seems, on your forehead. So, and I just use my normal go-to ink, which is archival jet black. I do want to dabble in a different ink for a short period of time, but I'm afraid that I may get addicted to that ink, so I'm very nervous about whether or not I want to actually use it. But they have this ink from Crafter's Companion. It's supposed to be like a no-run ink, so I'm nervous about that. All right, so now we're going to use Wisteria Purple, and that'll go. These look almost the exact same, and I'm not, you know, I'm not a purple person, purple people eater. I just, it's supposed to be like love, right? Valentining. So there we go. You can wear whatever color you want for Valentine's Day. I know people would celebrate no Valentine's Day, and they have big parties with all kinds of random Valentines, but in different colors. You know, Galentine. I don't think guys have Valentines together. If they do, I don't know the name of that current, you know, state of the guys hanging out. I think the guys are out there looking for love, so they probably just put on their best dress and go and find whatever they're looking for. But ladies, you know, like the single ladies are like, oh, we're gonna have a Galentine party or whatever. Or it's just like girls' day out. So big surfaces, I do tend to use my broader in the chisel, I think it's what it's called. Yeah. Just so it just, you know, because if you are coloring for a while, you're like, come on, let me get a big stroke in. But some people don't color all of their painting and certain things in one setting. This bullet is so like precise. It's definitely like a nooks and cranny type of marker. And I can appreciate that. That looks weird to me. We're gonna have to come back in and just fix that. The little highlights that I drew and I traced over probably won't look too hot now, and that's okay. Again, when you're coloring over it, it really doesn't matter because you're going to color over it. So the lines just help you, or me in my instance, look decent until I color over them. But like I had stated earlier, if you want to show that, I would have used this to trace everything and then came back in with the lighter marker and colored. So like right here, if I was to come back in and do that, now you can see that indent. And I'm assuming that they made this to have like a demarcation where you can actually make it into a little bit more textured with, like, if the sun was hitting from this way, you could put the shadows and stuff on there. Again, I'm not there yet, I guess you could say, because eventually I feel like I'll get more and more into it, and I'll want to make my pictures look as fabulous as some of the other people that I definitely admire in their coloring techniques. I think, over time you could definitely achieve those goals if that's what you want. And right now I'm not even looking to do that. I just like to color, like I said. I get great joy out of doing it. It's very relaxing and soothing. Even like with me doing this little part, you know, I still enjoy the art of taking a blank slate, a blank canvas, and turning it into something else. Now we're going to do the fun stuff, which is cut all of these out. Okay, so I want to discuss paper piecing really quickly. If you've never done it before and you want to get into it, it's very fun and it alleviates from coloring. So, as you know, I already stamped out everything. I'm on the last lady and I'm cutting her out. So a lot of times you'll notice if you're making tags, you can see how someone has detailed and cut out the arms. I'm not sure if this arm was cut out, but this arm was definitely cut out right here. Can't see it, but that's okay. We're gonna do it in real time. So I cut her out, and she has some white around her. That's okay. I usually go with a little ink and just ink all of it a certain color anyway, but we may not do that today. And then I've cut her out, and we're gonna get her dressed in this outfit. So it's like playing paper dolls. But as you can see, I cut her arm alt to just cut that white piece out. And this one I just stuck my scissors in and did that. It's whichever is easiest for you, and it's not going to be too awkward when you apply your papers on whatever surface you're going to be applying those papers on. And that's really what matters the most. Are you putting all that on, or are you just doing one thing? And for us, we're going to be layering. So you have to decide on how you want to cut the arm, that little spot out. So what I tend to do, if I don't want to cut the arm, say if it's a lot of surgery involved, I won't cut the arm. I'll just poke a hole in it and cut around. But in most instances, it's okay. But I think I'm going to just show you the poking a hole since I showed you the arm already cut out. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish cutting this. And we'll discuss paper piecing. Some people are very elaborate with their paper piecing. Like, say they'll stamp this out a few times on different sheets of paper and they'll layer everything up. I am not that person. I feel like all of this is just one outfit. We're good to go. I do tend to purchase smaller. I tend to use the paper 6x6 paper pack because the images are smaller. And so as you can see, I just stamped out the dress because I don't care about her arms and legs because she's not going to have that. But if you wanted your sim to, your sim, if you wanted your stamp, lordy, to have that, then that's fine. I do tend to try and keep these extra pieces with no stamps on it, no stamped images, because you can come back and stamp the feet if you want them to have these pattern shoes. But you know, we've already colored her shoes in and gave her just some pink basic shoes. And so right here we're going to just cut. We're going to cut this arm off just like that. I try to cut as much of the larger pieces off first before I go in and start doing like detail work, because sometimes I'll mess up and I'll cut off the black ink portion, and then when you come back to put it on your person, it looks off or weird. And in this case, it's okay. We're good. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting her with you. And even her neckline, we're just going to cut. So basically we'll cut anything off that's not the article of clothing that you want to keep. Now if you wanted to make your image a little bit different, you definitely could just stamp these on color paper, whatever color paper you want for the skin tone. That would be your first layer. You can paper piece the hair, and then you can paper piece the dress. I tend to like to color something that I stamped, so that's why I do it that way. Alright, so take your scissor, and I just go for the center piece. The center part of the, not the center piece, right? The center part, and I'll just put a little hole, and then I will snip, snip, snip. And once I get a large enough working area for me to put my scissors in, I'll just come into that line and snip. And I just work the paper, not the scissors. And there you have it. We have our dresses. We have our ladies. Now let's go ahead and put them on something. All right, so I took a sheet of paper from this travel, it's called Travelage, and it said follow your dreams. This sheet right here, and I cut it to 4x6, I believe. 4x8, 4x8, and then I just cut this down to 7.5 by 3 3 3/4. So we could layer these on, and I don't do scrapbooking, so that page would not really apply to me, but I thought it'd be really cool to have something different in the background. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to just take all of our sheets like this, and we're going to make a tag. And how you do that is either you put your rounder, your corner rounder, or your tag paper there, or you just take a pre-existing tag and cut. Now what you could do, if you already have that done, you could turn your sheets over and cut them like that, but since we already have a prefabricated tag, we're just going to slide this piece over and cut. We're going to do the same thing with these pieces. Sometimes I forget how much work goes into some of the simple things that we do, right? Like stamping, coloring, fussy cutting, paper piecing, all that. It takes a little bit of time. And what I'll do is at the end when I finish, I'll go into the craft space, my real craft space, and get my circle punch and punch that circle in the center of my tag. And that is how it's going to look when it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all these down. You know, these remind me of boarding passes back in the day when you could get on an airplane and out, take off all your clothes to board the plane. They would have big pieces of paper. And if you lost them, it was a big deal back in the day. Now you can just pull up your cell phone and no issue. So now we're going to go ahead and glue our dresses onto our ladies. And then we're going to go ahead and layer up our tag. And so, you know, sometimes you do have a galentine getaway for Valentine's Day because you can take a vacation to one of the islands with people that have accents and you're like, ooh, he's cute, she's cute. Well, if they're single, right? Or you may actually go to somewhere in the States like Las Vegas, New York, California, you know, wherever your friends are. Say if you all met in college at one spot and you do that annually, you know, whatever it is that you're doing when you're meeting up and hanging out with your friends and our loved ones. So we got all our ladies done. We got our tags done. Now we're going to go ahead and pull out some ephemera. All right, so we're going to do, I already did one. And we're going to put something right here, but we're going to go ahead and do this one. And I figure since we have airplane and departures and all that stuff, we can just create our own sentiment on this tag. Adventure waits. So, you know, this is definitely out of the movie type thing. You get a card in the mail from your friend and she sends you a one-way ticket to wherever she is, somewhere in the middle of tropicalness, beauty, wonderful, amazing, whatever. And she says, come on, girl, adventure awaits. And do you take the ticket? Do you stay home with Rod, the jerk? I don't know. I think it was a Rod in one of the movies. And or do you go and hang out and meet Tony, the hot cabana boy? And if you do you go back to Rod, the jerk, or do you stay with Tony, the cabana boy who has um, a sketchy past? Yes, that's my romance novel, okay? No, I'm joking. I don't do romance novels, but, you know, here we go. And let's work on our last one, and we'll be done with this project. So I always like to put her on first just to look and see what I'm doing. And since we're going to use this Happy Valentine's Day at the bottom, right here on our boarding pass, I remember when I used to fly, not often, but when I did fly, men would be in full business suits, right? I remember one of the last time I flew, I had on like a skimpy little t-shirt, you know, so for easy access, some shorts and flip-flops. I was like, you will not have me taking off all of my clothes to see if I got anything. I'm not sure how true that is now with the flying because I haven't flown in a long time, at least 4 or 5 years. and it was cold, so I hurry up and got my jacket out my bag and put it on. And when I say skimpy, I don't mean like you could, wet it and have a good laugh. I mean like it was very thin. Because for some reason I tend to get searched every time. I think my name has probably has some type of alert on it. I haven't did anything to my knowledge. All right, so now we're gonna come and look at these. What are these? Pebbles. These are kind of too cutesy, in my opinion, for this project. Hey, Valentine, you're cool. See ya. I mean, they're really pretty, but they don't match what we're doing right now. So we're just gonna dig through this real quick. So I think this is the layout we're gonna go with. XOXO. Hugs and kisses, right? And we gotta show off her dress. And then we're just gonna put this little glitter heart here. And we'll throw this paper heart on top of the glitter heart. Pulled out the stickers. I think we could go with sweet right here. Yep, Kiara. These are our tags that we made. A lot of work, a lot of fun. I will go back and punch holes and put some string or ribbon in here, but this is how it ended, and I am so happy that you came out and hung out with me. I want to say thank you for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.